Okay. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am your host, XFL Jim, and you may be asking me, I ask for you, what are you guys doing here on a Monday? Well, this is a special edition of the Jimnasium, folks. This is the Jimnasium. This is the college corner of the Jimnasium, and I am joined by my special guest here, Magic Mike, the capper of the Gulf Coast, the savant of the court and the field. The man is a fucking genius when it comes to college sports. Specifically, we're going to be talking about football. And let me tell you how this is going to go, folks. The College Corner, we're going to be breaking down every conference, quote unquote, because there's some teams aren't in a conference. We're going to be breaking down every college conference by conference, team by team, week by week. We're going to give you all the content you need when it comes to college football. Isn't that right, my man?
Dude, I'm so fucking excited. Namaste first for the awesome introduction. I appreciate it. Dude, I can't wait for college football to start. I'm so excited. I'm so stoked to be in the Jimnasium finally with the host with the most. I can't believe it, man. I'm ready to go.
That's what we're about here. But before we get into it, got to pay some bills, folks. As always, the Jimnasium is brought to you by Manscaped. Promo code XFL for 20% off and free shipping. As you all know, I'm a hairy man. I got hair here. I got hair on my face. I got hair on my chest even. But where it matters the most, the groinal area, the beanbag, everything like that, that's spotless. It's fucking spotless. And you know how I do that? I use the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. It's like giving your taint a massage. I can't wax poetic enough about this product. It's fucking amazing. Go get yourself, after listening to this podcast, go to manscaped.com. Use promo code XFL for 20% off and free shipping. Get yourself a Lawnmower 4.0. You could be feeling as good as me. It's fucking awesome.
That sounds pretty good, man. I know I always cut the junk a little bit, so it sounds pretty nice to have something like that.
I've had plenty of issues with that too. I have used razors back in the day, and I would always nick myself, and I'd be like, well, it's worth it. It's going to be worth it. Not anymore, folks, because holy shit, this thing is like giving your balls a massage. It's beautiful.
Perfect.
So we're going to be starting off. We're starting off with the independents. Just because, I mean, we're going to go conference by conference. These teams don't have a conference, so what better place to start than some independent teams who just don't really have a home. And I've been talking with people who are just kind of like they're regional college football fans, and so they're only really a fan of like their own team. They don't know that there are more like people only think of like Notre Dame or BYU as like the only independents. People don't think of like a Liberty, a New Mexico State. People even forget Army sometimes.
Yeah, it's difficult because a lot of these teams jump in and out of the independents too. Like, Notre Dame's even a little confusing at the moment because they're half ACC for some reason. But just a couple of years ago, BYU, they were in the Mountain West, and Liberty was FCS, and
Exactly.
UConn was in the AAC. So these teams jump in and out. It's kind of hard to follow sometimes for the layman fan.
It's pretty nuts. It's pretty insane, and it's like it's hard to break down because you have Notre Dame, who's always this perennial team. They're going to be overrated a lot. They just are. ESPN loves to suck them off heavily, but they're a good team. I'll give it to them. Notre Dame is a good team, and then you just have the likes. You have all the way down to like your UMasses and your UConns, who are. They're perennial bottom feeders. So let's just be honest here.
They've had some rough years recently. That's for damn sure. It gets ugly.
So anyway, start with these. Let's start breaking them down team by team. Who do we got at number one? My college football savant.
Yes, sir. We are going to the UMass, the Minutemen, the most identifiable mascot for any male out there, the Minutemen. Their over-under for this season is a stunning 1.5 wins. I got them projected at 2-10. So, yeah, okay. Not much better.
That's like right on the money. This is one of those things that I think Vegas kind of gets right on. It's if you're not familiar with these like lower tier teams, it's you see these super low over under win totals, and your first instinct generally, at least when I was first getting into betting college football, my first instinct was generally to take the over. But then you watch these teams play, and you kind of look at the history, and then you understand why it's the number is what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, Walt Bell, the coach, he's in like season 1.5 because of COVID year last year. But I mean, he's 1-15 in his tenure as the coach of UMass. So it's been a pretty rough start. So they played 4 games last year. That's why I say 1.5. But,
it's hard for anybody at UMass. That's just totally honest. So let's go game by game, see how we feel about the over under 1.5, see what the garage feels about this. They start the season off at Pitt, which is that's a rough one to start, if I'm being honest. I'm pretty high on Pitt this year, so that's a really tough break.
I'm traditionally not high on Pitt or Narduzzi. I think this is kind of an average Pitt year, but easy game for Pitt. It's a 5-star confidence. I mean, it's a loss, so nothing you can do there.
Maybe I'm just more high on super duper senior Kenny Pickett than
Kenny Pickett. He's been there for like 15 years.
He's been there forever. Maybe I'm more high on him than I am just like Pitt as a whole. But obviously they're not like Pitt's winning that game, so that's an L right off the bat. Right. And then they get Boston College at home, which that's another loss in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a loss. It's a loss. Jeff Haley has that team trending in the right direction. I don't see any way Boston College drops that game to UMass, so that's another loss.
Then we have the Eastern Michigan team. For those who are just listening for the first time to the Jimnasium, we are a directional Michigan fan podcast here, and this is my favorite one. I know they're not the best, but God, I can't help but love Chris Creighton, and I love this Eastern Michigan team.
Chris Creighton's the man.
He's the damn man. And
took that. Were you a NCAA like NC Dub on PlayStation? Like, was that your thing growing up?
No, it very much so. And I still have 2011. I don't have. I didn't get 2014. I had a friend who had it, and we played that literally until it broke.
Right.
And now all I have is 2011. So I still get like on 2011, you still get the whack. You still get like
the whack.
The Big Ten was leaders and legends at that time. They weren't East and West yet. You had the Conference USA was completely different. It was a lot. It's like a time capsule.
It's so funny to look back on how things change. But Eastern Michigan was one of the every guy that loves college football, this is what you did. He took the bad team and he tried to rebuild the program and prestige it out, and Eastern Michigan was one of those teams, man. That was one of those teams you did that with, one of the worst teams in the game. And you're like, I'm going to build this thing. I'm going to do it, So that was one of the teams, and what he's done there, he's basically, done the MAC version of prestiging that team.
I think he's got him on the right track. He's doing a certain like slow but surely thing because they're in. They don't win them all, but they're in a lot of close games.
Absolutely, they fight consistently, and you just have to remember how good a 6-6 record for that kind of team is. It's so tough to do. I mean, they're especially like the 7th best Michigan school.
Exactly, but I feel like UMass isn't getting a win there.
No, I got it as L.
Then they play at Coastal Carolina, my personal favorite team from last year. I feel like that was America's team last year, and I don't see UMass getting a win there either.
No, absolutely not. No chance.
So we're 4 games in. They're 0-4, and then they play Toledo, who I am positing right here. Toledo is my pick to win the MAC this year. And I don't see him getting another win here.
The MAC is surprisingly pretty tricky. We'll get to it when we get to the MAC conference, but the MAC has some good teams this year, but Toledo is among the upper echelon. No way that UMass gets that dub.
I think the MAC is, when we get to it, I'm very excited because it's generally it is like one of the most competitive conferences.
Absolutely. I'm a Midwest guy originally, Gulf Coast guru now, but I'm from Ohio, and the MAC's coming up. It's a pretty entertaining conference. They play with a chip on their shoulder. Almost all of those teams do.
Then they're playing. They get UConn at home, and I think this is a close one. These are two of the worst teams in all of college football playing each other here.
Absolutely. I went with UConn because of Randy Edsall. That's pretty much it.
I could see him kind of getting them back on track a little bit, slowly but surely. I would probably also lean UConn there, but that's a slight one.
Low confidence play on that. Low confidence.
Mm-hmm. So they have a bye week, and then they move at Florida State University. God dang, they just can't help but schedule these ACC games, and that's just not going to do any favors for them.
Yeah, or for the ACC. ACC, buck up on your scheduling.
For real, like how many was that 3 ACC teams playing UMass? That's pretty.
It's pathetic.
That's pretty pathetic. So they're not winning that one, and then back-to-back road games. They play at Liberty right after Florida State. They're going to get demolished 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's a slaughter. That's not even a game. Absolutely done there.
What's your opinion? I always feel like all the independents should play each other at least once, and then I think that'd be kind of fun. You never see it because Notre Dame just like they have their historical stuff that they got to do, but I think it'd be a dumb fun thing.
It would be a fun thing, except for then it would almost be a conference, So it gets a little tricky.
That's true. I do kind of
tricky.
like the chaos of it.
Yeah, I do. It's you get both sides because your UMasses and your New Mexico States down at the bottom. Your SECs and ACCs, they like to pick those guys apart with their crazy schedule bullshit that they do. But then your Notre Dames and your BYUs, they go out and they just schedule the hardest schedules imaginable. And it's like, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not helping yourself out. It's insane. The BYU schedule this year is stupid. It's stupid.
It's stupid. Yeah, we'll get to that one in a bit, but it's really bad. So after getting ass blasted by Florida State and Liberty, they get to play Rhode Island
and Maine back to back.
And Maine, yeah, that's a nice one right there. That's the area you're circling on this schedule. If
exactly.
You are UMass better. These are the 2 games. Possibly end of the year at New Mexico State as well.
That's the crazy thing about it is you look at this and it's over under a 1.5 and it's UMass. I don't want to say anything with confidence with UMass, but you're telling me you have back-to-back home games against 1AA and then you got coin flip games with UConn and New Mexico State? How do you not get 2?
Well, the issue with the New Mexico State game is that's also another back-to-back away game, and they play Army before that. So
and they're going to be beat up
going into New Mexico State.
And we'll get to New Mexico State. They're so similar, these 2 teams. So it is tricky, but I mean, you got to lean. I'm showing my hand, but you got to lean over on this.
Honestly, if it's 1.5, those 2 FCS games, Rhode Island and Maine, I'm going to go over.
You got UConn at home too.
If it was at 2, I wouldn't be touching it. But
right.
1.5, I actually like this play.
It's not bad. And then you got UConn at home, which we said the Randy Edsall thing, but that team didn't even play in 2019.
That's a possibility too. Yeah. You have 4 winnable games.
Absolutely.
You only need to win half. You need to win half of your winnable games, and I think that's doable.
And this team has Colorado transfer Tyler Light. He's 6'5". He's over 230 pounds. He's a 4-star recruit. So that's something big to be added to the team. I don't know. It could be interesting. They're not going to be good, but 1.5, I think they could do it.
I don't think they'll be good, but they could be profitable. And we're all about money here in the garage. That's why I keep doing these ads, folks. Money talks here.
That's it. I wouldn't shoot your load on the Minutemen, but there's some opportunity.
It's opportunity right there. Get it while it is 1.5, folks. Get it if you can find it 1 or 1.5. Shoot for that. 2, I'm probably leading off that.
Same here.
Speaking of 2, and speaking at the end of the UMass season, they play New Mexico State, who is the next team on our chopping block. Their over-under is set at 2 wins, and similar to UMass, maybe even a little less similar. This schedule looks substantially more difficult just based on the fact that I don't see any gimmies here.
No, not really at all. And they're bringing back 2 starters on offense. 0 back on defense.
That's
not good.
That's not good at all. And also, even if they were playing some FCS schools, I don't know if I would trust them. Didn't they play in the FCS this year?
You know what? They did. I forgot all about that. They
lost like 2 games.
Yes, and if they were honestly in the right conference, they would lose more than that. Yeah.
God. So anyway, New Mexico State, they start the season. They get UTEP at home. The Dana Dimmel UTEP squad. And I think this is where UTEP gets to have some confidence because they're not the worst team on the field when they play New Mexico State.
I got it penciled in as a win for UTEP. I like that team this year. They're not going to be good, but they're showing improvement. I like it. It's not a high confidence play, but I like the win for UTEP.
I also like the win for UTEP there. And then they get their back-to-back road games, San Diego State University and at New Mexico.
I got 2 L's.
Right? Yeah, I got 2 L's. Like San Diego State's a good program consistently, and I kind of like where the Lobos are headed. Then they get SC State and Hawaii at home, which Hawaii could drop one of these games when it's like on the mainland, but I don't think they would drop it to New Mexico State. That's a game Hawaii drops to like a mid Mountain West team, like a Utah team or something like that.
The Hawaii game is fairly interesting because that's coming off of they play at San Jose State the week before. So, and then they got San Jose State at home, and then they go. No, I'm right. Yeah, San Jose State, and then they play New Mexico State. So it's kind of a tricky little spot there. I like the win for Hawaii, but it is a little trip-up spot.
That is a little trip-up. What do you think about SC State there?
They get the win there. I give them the win on that just because they're not a ranked FCS school. It's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, but the fact that it's not like a good FCS school, I'll kind of give it to them. If it was like any decent FCS, that I'd probably pencil it. I got 1.
That's about as deep as I dig into it. You know, if they're not ranked in the top 25, I'm going to give you the dub just as a courtesy.
You should just based on talent alone at that point.
Right.
And then after Hawaii coming there, they get to play another back-to-back road games, San Jose State and at Nevada. I think these are going to be 2 pretty top-tier teams in the Mountain West as well.
Yeah, they're 2 legitimate teams this year. Those are 2 easy losses.
Yeah, that's an easy one right there. Then they have the bye week, and then they play at Hawaii. So they get Hawaii twice this year.
Yeah. New Mexico State has been really excited to play teams 2 times a year lately.
I remember when it felt like, what was it, 2019 or 2018? They played Liberty like 3 or 4 times that year.
It was both. They played them at least twice both years. Yeah. And I thought it was a Liberty thing because Liberty was the new team. But now here we are, and they're doing it again. New Mexico State.
I think they're just struggling to like find people to play.
I guess. SEC teams don't want them, I guess.
That's maybe how Hawaii got them to like Hawaii to go play at New Mexico State, is they guarantee that they would also come to the island to kind of like do a little bit there. But they're not winning at Hawaii for sure. And then they get another bye week. They get a bye week, and then they get Utah State at home. That's an L. That's probably an L. Utah State is rebuilding, but I think they're good enough to beat New Mexico State for sure.
Yeah, I think Utah State rebounds a little bit this year. I don't think they're good, but I think they get this win. So I got it as an L.
Then 3 back-to-back back road games. 2 definite losses at Alabama and at Kentucky. Nice job, SEC, scheduling New Mexico State at the end of the year. Fucking goddamn pussies. I hate that. And then they play at UMass, which is, we were mentioning earlier, they're going to be beat to shit when they play UMass at this point. So
right. I mean, I got that as a coin flip.
That's a coin flip.
Yeah.
At best, I see them breaking even.
Yeah, that's my best case scenario. For this team, I got marked down as suggest the under.
I would probably lean under as well.
I don't see a way they get over 2 wins. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it's not happening. So going from them, We got the over on UMass, the under on New Mexico State. Moving on a little bit higher to UConn, whose over under is 2.5.
Yeah, Randy Edsall back again. They didn't play at all last year, so no record to talk about. They were 2-10 in 2019, so I got them projected out at 3-9 this year.
That's probably fair. So let's break it down. They play at Fresno State to start the season. That's a rough go at it.
That's a loss. Fresno State looks pretty decent this year. I like Fresno State this year.
I like the Mountain West as a whole this year. I think the Mountain West is going to be very, very interesting. Then they get Holy Cross. They get Holy Cross at home.
Yeah, I gave it a win, but that's 23rd ranked Holy Cross.
I was going to say, like, Holy Cross is pretty consistently like a top 25 FCS school. I can't guarantee that, but I'll give them a win there. Then they get Purdue at home.
Yeah, I gave them a loss there. Purdue got Notre Dame the next week. So that's interesting, and it's interesting that they have Purdue at home, but a loss.
It's very interesting. That's a trappy game for Purdue. That's a potential trap game, but I'll probably give Purdue the win generally. Then they play at Army. That's a loss.
That's a loss.
UConn's defense, if it's anything like 2019, will not be able to stop a triple option team. Then they get Wyoming at home.
That's a far travel.
That's a far travel, but I think Wyoming's a pretty good team.
Yeah, Wyoming is. They are. I have it as a loss for UConn for sure. But Craig Bull's got. He's got to figure out a quarterback situation. It's a little tough. This is going to be a really slow, really ugly game if he doesn't get a quarterback figured out.
Hopefully by that, like the midpoint of the season, he'll have something figured out. People always I always think of Craig Bull as like a quarterback whisperer. He had friggin' Carson Wentz at NDSU. He had Josh Allen at Wyoming. Josh Allen, to be fair, wasn't great in college, but
he wasn't great at college. The offense really didn't cater to him much at all. I remember watching him at Wyoming and thinking, like, man, this guy. I remember specifically it was the Iowa game. They played Iowa, and I was like, man, he just doesn't look good. But the offense wasn't catering to his style at all.
Craig Bull needs to figure something out. I feel like he can just because I trust him. He's a proven coach, so I'll definitely give him a win there. Then they play at Vanderbilt and at UMass back to back.
I have them splitting it.
I mean, they're not going to beat Vanderbilt in my opinion, but they could beat UMass there. That's a coin flip game. Then they get Yale at home.
I got them beating Yale.
That's a tough one, though. That's not a gimme. I'd probably also have them beating Yale, so we have them 3 possibly. So we're already potentially at the over. Then they get Middle Tennessee at home.
That's a loss.
That's a loss right there. Then they get their bye weeks back to back, which you got to hate if you're a UConn fan.
Yeah, I cannot stand when that happens, man. That's rough.
Really rough. Then they finish their season at Clemson, at UCF, and Houston at home. So 3 losses to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to keep in mind, keep an eye on though. Kevin Mensah, Randy Edsall, back to his old ways. He's 1,200 rushing yards behind Donald Brown's school record. So that's just something cool for that team, I guess.
The offense has got to do something because, his return hasn't really improved this team's defense at all. They've been terrible.
Oh, they've been rough. It used to be all they could do. You know, they had no offense, and then they had a solid D. But
this is a very skeptical over. I probably wouldn't touch this one.
I'm leaning over. I also don't love it very much, but hey, if we're picking every single thing, I'm going to go over as well, just for Randy Edsall.
Every single thing, and you know what? I'm actually going to go under because I'm going to go with my gut here. My gut says under on UConn. Give Edsall another year or two, and then this team can maybe be decent.
I could see if he gets it. Man, they've been so bad.
Been so bad. Speaking of decent, we have a decent over/under win total for BYU 6.5. This team loses a lot, so it's a tough one.
And they're even acknowledging it by calling it a rebuild year, which I do not like when they do that.
Yeah, I
No,
don't like it when teams do that because then they're just like they're setting up to lose right there.
right. What's that tell your returning starters? And especially coming off an 11-1 year.
It's rough. But I mean, they lose so much. Not even just like people will just point at the offense, like Zach Wilson, a couple of receivers and whatnot. They lose a lot on defense too.
They only have 4 starters coming back on D, so that's pretty rough right there. And according to analysts, they have lost the most offensive production out of any team in the entire country. So, I mean, when you account for the wide receivers and then Zach Wilson, there it is.
This is a rebuilding year. So they start the year off at Arizona. The Cupcake Pac-12 team is not a bad way to start.
No, that team is ridiculous. Have you seen the things that they're doing out there?
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski coached the spring game. They got Teddy Bruschi in there. It's like celebrity death match. They're just bringing in whatever sticks. It's insanity.
They're just throwing a whole bunch of shit against the wall. I kind of respect it a little bit, but I think BYU actually can get this win here.
I got them with the win. It's at a neutral site. I got them with the win there.
Then they play Utah at home. Well, Utah with the Holy War and everything, and this one is it's not going to be pretty, I feel.
No, holy shit. Utah beats them. Yeah, no doubt.
Then they get Arizona State and USF. I think, interesting with the stuff going on at Arizona State, like the turmoil that the program could be in if more news comes out about what's going on there. This could be an interesting one.
I know, and that's a bummer because Arizona State looks so legitimate this year. I'm really excited about it if they get everything in line. But yeah, I hate these NCAA infractions and everything to go along with it. I hate when things like that, coaching struggles, anything happen with the team. I can't stand it.
Because it just seems it's like an outside factor. Like anytime you get like outside practice or outside game injuries that happen to like key players or anything like that, it just sucks because like they're poised to have a good season and then just forces outside of their control just fuck them over.
But if there's any coach that can handle it, it could be Herm Edwards.
True.
Play to win the game.
So for now, I'm going to give this game to Arizona State. So that's 2 losses in a row for BYU in my book.
Same here.
But then they get a win against South Florida for me because I'm still not high on South Florida.
No, they got a lot to prove. Definitely a win there.
Yeah, but then they play at Utah State. I think they can get a dub there. I'm giving Utah State a couple more years.
Yeah, I got them beating Utah State as well, even with the rivalry. I think it's going to take a little bit to rebuild it, but yeah, I got BYU taking that one.
Then they get Boise State at home, and I think Boise's coming for revenge. I think they want it.
Man, this game's a toss-up for me. I do have BYU winning it just because you have a coaching change going on at Boise State now. Quarterback's a little unsure. I don't really love what's going on out there in Boise, so I do have BYU taking this one.
I think I'm going to roll Boise State here. I think the revenge factor. I think the coaching change isn't going to be as drastic because the guy's been kind of inbreaded with the program for so long and so consistently. I'm going to go Boise State here. So I've got them at 1, 2, 3. I got them at 3 wins so far. I believe you have them at 4.
4, yep.
Okay, then they go at Baylor and at Washington State back to back.
Yeah, rough.
That is rough.
I got them splitting it. Win with Baylor, loss at Washington State.
I could definitely see him give Baylor another year. This is kind of like year 1 of the Aranda era. So give them splitting it. Give them 4 wins for me. Then they get Virginia and Idaho State at home.
I got them dropping to Virginia and beating Idaho State, beating the 1AA.
Yeah, I think Bronco comes back and just knows the team and just gives it to them, and they beat Idaho State. So I have them at 5. You have them at 6 already. And then they have a bye week, and then they play at Georgia Southern, at USC. Nice to have a bye week before going up against a triple option team.
Absolutely, but terrible to play USC after playing a triple option team. I got them winning Georgia Southern, losing to USC pretty easily.
That's a tough one. I'm going to go that they lose both. So I have them at 5.
Okay.
I
got them projected out to 7. but I actually like the under because
I would
I could
probably also
see,
like the under.
and I like it with good confidence. I could see them losing a couple of those games I said they're going to win. I gave it to them because I have them projected a little better, but I see them losing a couple of them pretty easily.
Yeah, I just think the rebuild factor is too much for these guys.
And the schedule's too tough. The schedule's way too tough for a team. You're gonna tell me they got to win 7 games. I think it's a big ask to get this team to even go bowling with this schedule. It's pretty rough.
That would be if you're a realistic BYU fan, you got to be hoping for a bowl. That's what you got to hope for because this is a tough schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been scheduling that way. Last year looked a little different because of what happened with COVID. It messed things up, but they've been scheduling that way, and they're not doing themselves any favors in that they might as well just join the Pac-12 schedule in half the conference. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it's rough.
They have the weird thing where they just they won't play any it's their other sports that are keeping them from joining a conference because they won't play any sports on Sunday, and the Pac-12 has a hard stance on that. I think they might have the clout a little bit to kind of if they wanted to join the Mountain West or something like that, but they're in a weird position where they think they're better than the G5, but they're not Power 5.
Crazy Mormons, man, crazy Mormons. They got a whole thing going on out there to themselves.
They're one of the weirdest schools. It's crazy, but they're fun. Speaking of fun, we got Army up next. Win total set to 8, and generally, blindly, I would say lean over with Army. Army out of the military academy schools, they have the benefit of being able to make their own schedule, and they generally schedule pretty easy compared to Navy and Air Force. And I think that helps them a lot.
They do tend to schedule a little easier. There's some interesting things this year, though. 5 starters back on offense, and they're rebuilding the O-line and the quarterback, which is really tough for a triple option team.
It's tough, but I don't know if it's tough for these academy schools because they're generally the person they'll have at quarterback. The O-line is tough. That's a tough break. But the quarterbacks they have, they're generally juniors and seniors already, so they've kind of been with the program and know
kind of plug and play.
But let's go through it. We got at Georgia State to start, playing in Atlanta.
I give them an L on that one. Georgia State is returning a lot. 10 on offense, I believe, 11 on defense, and they are a tough defensive team, particularly against the run. I think with a lot of inexperience coming back on offense, this is a really tough road game to start the season with for Army. I'm giving them the L there.
This is tough, and I'm kind of with you on Georgia State being a great defensive team. Is it in my head that they play Georgia Southern a lot, or is that a thing?
Army or Georgia State?
Georgia State. Does Georgia State play Georgia Southern a decent amount? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, they're both Sun Belt.
Yeah. So I figure Georgia State to me, whenever they come to my head, I think good defense, and I think specifically good defense at defending the triple option. Because they're one of those schools that sees it a decent amount more than other programs. And I think they're good at that. And I think especially getting Army week 1, that's getting you time to prep on the triple option is the most dangerous thing you can do for these schools. And I think I'm with you there. I think they trip Army up week 1. So they're already out the gate. They got a loss. Then they get Western Kentucky at home next. I think
I got them winning.
I got them winning that one too. And then I have them beating UConn for sure.
Same here.
Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio is not a bad MAC team.
No. I got them splitting these MAC games with a win at Miami of Ohio and a loss at Ball State, but I could see them dropping both of those games. Those are 2 tough MAC teams right there. I don't like those matchups very much for Army.
I would probably say they split. I like them at home against Miami. I'd probably say they get 1-1 out of those 2. So they're coming into the bye week with 3 wins. Then they play at Wisconsin, and I think I think Wisconsin's a bad matchup. Yeah.
It's a terrible matchup. It just is. I mean, both teams are going to run the ball, but who runs the ball better than Wisconsin?
Exactly. the reason Army does well against these sort of like run and shoot air raid teams is because those teams give the ball back so quick because they score so fast. Army is like they just dominate the time of possession. Wisconsin is going to be running the ball down your throat with gigantic offensive linemen, eating up just as much, if not more, clock than you. I think Wisconsin has the perfect style of play against a triple option team.
And that's the thing, too. The size on the O and D lines for Wisconsin, it's going to be a ridiculous mismatch. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, so they're losing that one for sure. Then they get Wake Forest at home.
I gave them a win here, but it's a coin flip.
I'm a big Wake Forest guy, so I'm going to give them an L there. So I still only have them at 3 wins. You have them at 4. And then they get another bye week, and then they get Air Force on a neutral site, Bucknell, and UMass back to back to back.
I got them 3 wins there.
I'll give them 2. I actually like Air Force a little bit more than Army this year, so I'll give them 2. And then what's your reasoning for them losing to Air Force?
I'm not. The 2 other military academies, I'm not very big on them this year. They're both just coming off weak years, and they're replacing so much. They're just not as established at the current moment as Jeff Monken has this Army team. So I could see them splitting the military academies, but on paper, if I'm mapping them out, I'm going to give them both losses to Army just because of where the programs are at.
I can respect it. I'm going to lean Air Force, and then Army is going to beat Bucknell. Oh, Bucknell's not terrible, but Army's going to beat them, and then UMass is fucking trash. And then they finish off at Liberty and the Navy game.
I got them with a loss to Liberty. I don't think they can hang in that game.
I actually also have them with a loss to Liberty, and I have them with a loss to Navy.
Ooh, got them going down against both military academies.
Yeah, I think Army's going to have a rough year this year, actually.
That's interesting. I do lean the under on this team. I do. I have them exactly at the projected over-under, but I like the under a lot more. I think there's a lot more opportunity to trip up.
If you can't tell from where I was picking them, I'm hardcore on the under here. I could see a couple wins. Like they could beat Air Force. They could potentially beat Wake Forest, depending on how they're doing that far into the season. But I definitely favor the under.
Yep. I definitely go with the under too. Not as strongly as you, but I'm on it. I like the under there for Army.
So going from a team that I'm cold on in Army to a team that I'm red hot on Liberty. The win total for Liberty is 9. And blindly, I would say, my blind, without looking at the schedule, I want to lean over. I just think this team is red hot at the moment. Let's jump into this. They get Campbell to start out with. What a good way. What BYU does for their schedule, I feel like Liberty sometimes does the opposite, and they schedule like good wins.
Hugh Freeze brings the SEC mentality to scheduling, I guess. He talks to the athletic director. He gets free phone calls to hookers, and he gets the SEC scheduling program. So, yeah, they are doing it big there. They figured it out.
That's how you do it. You start off with Campbell, and I'm just like, that's a win. They're going to –
Absolutely. And I got them winning at Troy and against Old Dominion as well.
Yeah, 3 wins right out the gate. I will say Troy will be tough, but Liberty will get that win. Then they get at Syracuse and at UAB back to back. That's kind of a tough stretch. I could see them splitting that.
I do have them splitting that. I have them beating Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. Not a lot of faith in Dino Babers and the boys up there, but I have them losing to UAB. I have them losing that second leg of the back-to-back. UAB is a stout defensive team. That's a tricky game. I do not like it for Liberty.
Yeah, that's I don't know which one they'd. It's hard for me to fade Syracuse because I'm a big Dino Babers guy. After he had what was it, a 10-win season?
Oh, it was magical. It was fun.
It was like I've been captured ever since, and I can't escape the Syracuse train. But I'm going to say I don't know which one of these two that Liberty's going to lose, but they're going to lose one of them. So I have them at 4 wins, getting Middle Tennessee at home, and then going to ULM.
Yeah, I got them beating both of those teams. Middle Tennessee's improved. That's a tricky spot coming off of those 2 road games, but I got them getting that one done. ULM's a shit show with Terry Bowden coming in and Rich Rodriguez. I got them rolling that team.
Maybe give ULM a year to kind of see how that fits out. Like it's hard to rule out a Rich Rod offense, but they're like an unknown bad quantity.
Right, and I mean they're coming off of what they win a game last year. I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
They had
a rough go. So then after at ULM, they get another back-to-back playing at North Texas, and then they get UMass at home.
I got them getting the win over North Texas, but that's a tricky second leg of that back-to-back.
That's a tough one, and I would I don't know what the number will be, but I'm going to blindly bet the over in that game.
Yeah, definitely take the over there with Luttrell and Hugh Freeze. I like that.
Then they get UMass at home, and then they play at Ole Miss before their bye week.
Man, I am engorged for the Ole Miss game. I cannot wait. UMass, obviously, that's a win. Ole Miss, that game is going to be a lot of fun. I give the edge to Lane Kiffin and the boys because it's at home, and they do look like they have a decent squad. But, man, Hugh Freeze would love to win that game.
God, he's going to have him coached up so hard for that game. But, yeah, I'd probably lean Ole Miss as well. Then they get their bye week. Then they get Louisiana and Army.
Tough end of the schedule.
I think they finish off with a loss and a win. I think they lose to Louisiana. They beat Army.
I have them 2 wins there, but that's the way I could see it going. If it's not 2 wins, is exactly that: a loss to Lafayette, a win against Army, and they are still and will for always be the Raging Cajuns. I don't care what they try to do.
Forever they are the Raging Cajuns. So I have them exactly at 9.
I got them at 10-2. And I mean, I'm not blazingly confident in a loss to UAB. I'm not blazingly confident in a loss to Ole Miss. I think they could win both of those games. And like we said, they could split those end of the year games, but I could also see them winning both. I like the over here.
I have them at 9, and I like the over too.
There's opportunity.
This Liberty, I am hot on this Liberty team, so I'm just going to say over because that's how I feel. And
10 starters on both sides of the ball coming back.
It's insane. It's crazy. And from one crazy religious school to another, the top independent team that everyone knows and hates, it's Notre Dame. With it also the win total is the same as Liberty. Fuck Notre Dame, dude.
Dude, hey, listen, as a Notre Dame fan, I'm going to tell you right now, the absolute last thing I want in my life is for them to make another fucking playoff and get beat by 40-some points. Just don't do it. Just stay out. Stay out.
Just one of the other New Year's Six bowls.
Yes, any one of them. Play Auburn in whatever bowl you want. I don't give a shit. Don't go to that playoff. I don't want to see it anymore. I can't stomach it.
Don't play Ohio State, Alabama, or Clemson. Those are the 3 you want to avoid.
Yeah, Brian Kelly
can compete with almost anyone else.
Ugh. There's so many, and this is not your typical Notre Dame team. There's 2 starters back on offense. You lost Ian Book. You lost most of your O-line. You got your running back coming back. Receivers are a question mark. It's not your typical Notre Dame team. They're going to be good, but it's a rebuild year a little bit.
This is a little bit of a rebuild year, and they start at Florida State.
Dude, I will tell you what. I looked at this schedule to start, and I said, there's no heavy hitter. There's no Bama. There's no Clemson this year. They've been playing Clemson, the last couple of years. There's no heavy hitter. There's nothing you've seen. You're like, oh, there's a loss. And I thought, okay, maybe this is manageable for this roster. When we start breaking it down, I'll tell you, this is a tough schedule. And at Florida State's tough right off the bat because we don't know what the hell Florida State's throwing this year. They're probably going to suck, but who knows what the hell Team Norvell's going to have because this is basically year 1. And Notre Dame's throwing out 2 starters on offense hitting the road. I got it as a win for Notre Dame, but that's tough.
I'd probably say it as a win too, but yeah, and I'm looking through the schedule, and like you were saying, there's no heavy hitters, but there's no like gimmies. They don't have any gimmies here.
It's one after another.
After playing at Florida State, they get Toledo and Purdue back to back, so they get one of the best MAC schools. And I honestly Purdue's a wild card to me. I have no idea what to think about Purdue.
Purdue is really tough this year. I don't see them. They don't have the Rondale Moore anymore. They don't have the guy that could just stun an Ohio State, or stun a Notre Dame. So even though it's before the Wisconsin game, I still like Notre Dame to get 2 wins here with Toledo and Purdue, but those are both tough games.
Those are both tough. I have them 3-0 as well, but then they play Wisconsin at Soldier Field. I'm pretty high on Wisconsin this year, and I think Wisconsin kind of this is their first tough stretch of Wisconsin, Cincinnati, and then at Virginia Tech.
And you're going to see a trend that I'm going to point out, and it's going to start right here. Wisconsin has a bye week before they play Notre Dame. I am also big on Wisconsin this year. I think Wisconsin takes that win.
I'm with you there, lockstep. Then they get Cincinnati at home.
You want to know where the trend continues? Right here. Cincinnati has a bye right before playing Notre Dame, who just comes off the win or the game against Wisconsin. Man.
I like the Bearcats there. I think the Bearcats are going to be the G5 team this year.
I have the Bearcats winning as well, but there's no way this Notre Dame team wins any more than one of those 2 games.
100% there. And then they get at Virginia Tech to end that stretch out. I think they can beat Virginia Tech, but that's a fucking tough – that's a tough, that's a tough, first half of the season, to be honest.
It absolutely is. I'll give them the win against Virginia Tech because who knows if Fuentes is even going to be there at that point. But, yeah, that is tough.
So I got them at 4 wins. They get the bye week, and then fucking back half stretch coming right at you. USC, North Carolina, and Navy.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're all at home.
Yes, they are. And that is the one thing Notre Dame has going for them is these games, a lot of these tough games are at home, Wisconsin neutral site. USC and Notre Dame, both bye weeks before they play, so that's neutralized. I'm giving the win to USC this year. I'm slightly high on USC. I think they could do it this year.
I think USC wins the Pac-12 South, and I think they also beat Notre Dame, so I'm right there with you. What about UNC?
Hey, here goes the trend again. UNC, bye week before they play Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming off the UNC or USC game. Jeez, this schedule sucks. I got them beating UNC, but it's not a gimme.
That's a toss-up to me either way. I'm going to give it to Notre Dame just because I know you're a fan. That's a toss-up game. And then they get Navy at home, though, and I think they drop one of these North Carolina Navy games.
I gave them the win against Navy because Niumatalolo, that team's so down right now. I wish they were good. I love Navy. I love when Navy's good.
I think this is the start of the come-up. I think last year is a weird outlier. They were pretty decent in 2019. Last year, I'm just throwing out the books for Navy. I don't know if they. I think between UNC and Navy, Notre Dame loses one of them. I don't know which one. I'm going to say they lose one of them.
I could see that. I could see that for sure. I got 2 wins, but I do have UNC in a low confidence. So,
and then they get they finish off the season at Virginia, Georgia Tech, and at Stanford.
I got them 3 straight wins there. Stanford's pretty garbage. Georgia Tech, they're still trying to figure it out. At Virginia's tough, but I got them with a win there.
At Virginia's tough. I'd probably lean win. That's probably the toughest of that 3-game stretch. I don't know what's up with Stanford. I'm waiting for them to kind of come back to form. I loved they were like the Wisconsin of the West Coast. I like that in them. But they get 3 straight wins there. But I think that still only leaves them. I think that still leaves them under.
Yeah, I got them projected exactly at 9. Just when I do my projections, I kind of give them benefit of the doubt just to see how close I come to the number and if anything's crazy. But I could way more easily see this team win 8 games than 10. There's no question. This is probably my favorite play of the Independents, under.
I'm 100% with you there, and it also works as a gut play for me because I always love to fade Notre Dame. I'm going to go under as well. I have them at 8, but I definitely love the under here. So let's recap how we're feeling about all these ones. I think we're both on over for UMass.
Agreed. Yep.
Over 1.5 for UMass. We were stay away from New Mexico State, weren't we?
Under, if anything, but stay away, yeah.
Under, if anything, there. UConn, over under 2.5.
I was over, but not very high confidence.
I'm also over there, but definitely not high confidence. BYU.
I'm under.
I was under for BYU. Army at 8 wins. I'm under.
Me as well.
And Notre Dame, Liberty at 9. I'm over for Liberty.
Same here.
And Notre Dame at 9. I am under for Notre Dame.
Same here, and that's my favorite one.
That's also my. I would say the last two, under for Notre Dame and over for Liberty, are probably my two favorite plays.
Yeah, probably lockstep, but I am close on that Minutemen. It seems so stupid.
It seems like it's so juicy to me. It just seems like it's right there for the pick, and I love it.
It is. Man. Hey, I wanted to make a shout out too for Colby Dant sending you my way and sending you to BTV, man. So cool that Colby Dant, like the inspiration for guys like us to do this stuff and just hooking people up and helping people out and helping BTV out. That dude's cool as fuck, and I wanted to give him a shout out on the college podcast because it's just so fitting.
Hell fucking yeah, dude. Degens helping Degens. It's what we're all about here. It's what I'm about here in the garage. Fucking shout out to Colby Dant, Patty C, all the boys at the college experience. We love them. Fucking they're awesome. Anyway, folks, that'll do it for this week of the Jimnasium's College Corner covering the independents. Who knows who we're going to go next? I have no idea. It's wild. It's going to keep fucking being wild, and we're going to keep you up to date with all things college football here in the College Corner. Where can people find you, my man?
I am on basically just Twitter at this point. I just moved. I'm a little bit busy, but Twitter, 32 Court Vision, at 32 Court Vision. So that is my handle there. And then, of course, the one and only BTV, where I'm making video picks alongside you every single day at the home of the Degens.
Home of the Degens. You all know where you can find me at XFL Jim everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. If you do with an underscore at XFL_Jim, it's going to be fucking awesome. Can't wait to go through all these college football teams with you because as everyone should know, college football is like a drug. I'm an XFL guy first and foremost, but college football, it just gets me shaken. And once for me, it's once June is done and like I see July, I'm just like I literally get the shakes for it. When those magazines start coming in, and I'm just like,
throbbing is the fucking adjective I would use. Throbbing. I cannot wait to skip all this baseball crap and get to college football. That's all that matters. All that matters.
100%. Thank you all for watching. That'll do it for this episode of the Jimnasium College Corner. Love you guys. Peace.